In this lab, you're going to be observing and testing different properties of acids and bases. On your lab, you will see a setup for the two different wall plates containing both your acids and your bases. The first test is taking red litmus paper and putting this into your two acids and your two bases. The red litmus paper is shown above for your 4 different acids and bases. The second test is doing the same thing but with blue litmus paper. So the 4 pieces of blue litmus paper are shown above for the different acids and bases. For both of these, record your observations in the data table provided. The next test is going to be testing the different acids and bases with pH paper. This is going to be the scale that you will be referring to. These are the 2 different acids placed in the pH paper. Compare the color on the pH paper to the scale above to determine the pH of the 2 acids. Now this is the pH paper with the 2 bases. Again, compare the color on the pH paper to the scale above to determine the pH and record this in your data table. The last indicator test is using phenolphthalein and methyl orange. You have a diagram on your lab to determine which well plates are the phenolphthalein and which is the methyl orange. The first well plate for both the acids and bases is the phenolphthalein, and the second well plate for both the acids and bases would be the methyl orange. Record your observations in the data table provided. The next test is mixing 3 different metals with your 2 different acids. In the above video, hydrochloric acid is being mixed with both magnesium, copper, and zinc. Record your observations in the data table provided. In the second video, we're now adding acetic acid to magnesium, copper, and zinc. Again, record your observations in the data table provided. For the last neutralization test, we've added 5 drops of the hydrochloric acid into a test tube and have recorded the pH. Look at the pH paper in the above picture and compare it to the scale at the bottom. Record this initial pH of the 5 drops of hydrochloric acid in your data table. We are now dropwise adding sodium hydroxide into the hydrochloric acid. We added the 2 drops of phenolphthalein, which is an indicator which is causing the color change. In the below picture, once it turned that pale pink color, we took a sample of the pH. Compare the color on the pH strip to the scale provided and record this value in your data table. We are now adding additional drops of sodium hydroxide into the test tube. Notice it's turning a darker pink color again, and this is happening due to the phenolphthalein indicator. Once it turned the dark pink color, we again took the pH strip to measure the pH, refer to the scale provided, and record this final pH in your data table. You should now be able to answer the final analysis questions at the end of the lab, and you should be completed.